Well, hello. This is Deborah Johnson here with you today for The Power of After. And I'm thrilled to bring you a wonderful message, focused, not rigid, enjoying life without losing direction. And the focus of this Power of After show is to help you at mid-career, half-time of life, live the next chapter of your life, maximizing your skills, your resources, and your experience, really to live the type of life that you would like to live at this point in your life. And in this season of life, success asks us different questions. Not just like, what am I building, but how am I living while I build it? And many people discover that they don't want to abandon structure, but they also don't want to really live under it, especially as most of us have lived under that structure probably for 20 or more years. And so today we're exploring what it means to live with clear purpose and steady direction without like locking yourself into a way of working that no longer honors who you are now. And many times we focus first on mindset, and today is no exception as we approach that topic, focused, not rigid, enjoying life without losing direction. So stay tuned. Power of After is for you at mid-career, half-time of life, helping you maximize your skills, resources, and experience. We have courses, products, and help to make this stage of your life your best and most purposeful ever. Don't miss a single article, free download, or podcast. Get all the latest at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode. There's a tension many thoughtful and capable people feel, especially at mid-career or in the after season of life. On one side is focus, and on the other side is freedom. And when I went to get my driver's permit, I looked at the eye chart, and without being dyslexic, I'm not dyslexic, somehow I started reading it backwards. And my mother immediately marched me into the eye doctor, where we discovered that one eye was nearsighted and the other was farsighted. Well, of course, I left with glasses, and I passed the test just fine. And honestly, I didn't really even need those glasses to drive. My vision was fine, but the fine-tuning helped me in other areas. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're just doing a little fine-tuning. And today we're told we must choose our focus, that we must choose to be disciplined or enjoy life. We must be productive or present, and be serious about our purpose or spontaneous. But that's a false choice. In fact, the real work of this season of life is learning how to be focused, not rigid, to move forward with intention without becoming brittle, joyless, or even consumed by our own goals. And I'm big on goals, but the right kind of goals. So this is not about just drifting. It's about direction with flexibility, and it creates structure with breathing room and purpose without pressure. And it's not really accidental. It's designed. So we're going to approach all of that today. So really stay tuned through all of this. There's so much to apply here. It's not really hard to apply, and I think it will help your mindset. So what is the cost of rigidity? Well, it's really the myth of constant hustle. And many of us were trained in seasons where rigidity and hustle, well, that was rewarded. You show up early, you grind all day, you sacrifice sleep and energy now for a later payoff. And I can vividly recall the early morning hours of practice required to become a concert pianist. And that preparation continued as I produced and toured major stage shows across the country. There was consistent, constant practice and rehearsal. And the ease people saw on stage, well, that was earned through a tremendous amount of behind-the-scenes work. And in many ways, when I watch any of my performing videos, I can still feel the intensity of the work and rehearsal that I put in. And while that discipline might have served us in earlier chapters, it becomes costly when carried unexamined into midlife. So here's what rigidity really looks like at this point: it's guilt when you rest, it's anxiety when plans change, and it's measuring your worth by productivity or feeling behind even when you're doing well. It feels like you just never can catch up. And over time, this doesn't produce excellence. It really produces exhaustion, especially as our bodies grow older and, our energy levels are just maybe even not the same. So, what's often missing isn't commitment, it's alignment or even realignment, because focus without alignment, it becomes pressure, putting us off balance. And just like a vehicle that's out of alignment, that's pressure. It's wobbly. And pressure, and if it's there long enough, it leads to burnout or resentment. So focus is all about direction, not about just control. Well, I was excited when Siri started giving directions on my phone. Do any of you remember that? Wow. I mean, we used to carry maps. I would carry 3 different maps in my car, those Thomas Brothers really thick maps. So, the great thing about Siri, for me, I was thrilled mainly because I really am directionally challenged. And that issue has caused more than a few intense conversations with my husband during our trips. And one time, driving home from Santa Barbara, I needed a restroom. While Greg, my husband, he asked Siri for a Starbucks. So Google Maps suggested McDonald's for me, and suddenly we had multiple destinations: Starbucks and McDonald's. So all of a sudden, we had all these U-turns and zero focus. It was so confusing that it really became comical. We were laughing so hard. And for our lives and schedules, a clear focus is not confusing or controlling every hour of the day. And it's not squeezing productivity out of every moment. And it's not clinging to a plan, even when life clearly it needs you to adapt and change directions with a U-turn now and then. But true focus is directional clarity. And it's what was missing in our driving adventure. Had too many commands that were confusing. So, focus is knowing why you're doing what you're doing and what matters most right now, and also what doesn't need your attention. This was one of the hardest things for me is, okay, so what should I say no to? There's so many opportunities. And when focus is rooted in direction instead of control, you gain something so powerful. You can pause without panic, and you can trust the journey, and you can take a break without losing momentum, because momentum isn't tied just to that constant motion. It's tied to orientation. So let's talk about purpose, because it's the anchor that makes flexibility possible. Now, one of the greatest gifts of the power of after season of life, and of course, that's the title of this show and of my recent book. It's very, very powerful. This season of life is because you've lived long enough to know what drains you. You've lived long enough to know what energizes you and also what you no longer want to prove or do. I mean, there are things at this point that I don't really care to do. And this is where clear purpose becomes essential. And purpose isn't a slogan, and it's not a vague sense of just doing something meaningful or even legacy building. Purpose is a through line, and it should be carried through how you spend your time, energy, and resources. So, that purpose, what does it include? Well, it includes a problem that you care about solving. Oh, many people are very passionate about a certain cause. It could be with a group that you feel called to serve. There are many actually other groups too to be able to serve in different ways, or a contribution you want your work to make. That's also a great purpose. So when your purpose is very clear, you don't need to just micromanage your life. Well, so why is that true? Well, I don't know how you're answering it, but purpose, it becomes your compass. It becomes that clear focus that points you in the right direction. I've heard so often, oh, purpose is the reason you jump out of bed. Well, not always. Not everybody is going to be jumping out of bed, but it is a clear focus, and it is exciting. It's like the clear command that we give to Siri that's not confusing or misleading. So if an opportunity aligns with your purpose, you can say yes. And if it doesn't, you can say no without guilt or feeling like, oh, you're just missing out. And if life interrupts your schedule because of a family issue, a health issue, or any other matter, well, you can step away because you know where you're headed when you return. I've lived long enough to have some of those issues interrupt life, and it doesn't end. When you have adult kids, it does not end. So a clear purpose, it reduces anxiety because it replaces just urgency with direction that's confident and well thought out. The purpose continues. It's a through line. So I want to talk here about core values because I have spoken before that the core values are behind a strong and really effective purpose. This is the quiet decision makers. Core values help you so much in life. And it helps you make decisions. If you're having a hard time making decisions, go back and review those core values. If purpose is the compass, core values are the guardrails that guide that purpose. And I talk about this, I've written about it in my book, Stop Circling. I have a full appendix area that covers core values in a way that's practical and really extremely impactful. Make sure you get that. It's a great book. Core values show up repeatedly in our lives across many different situations through our relationships, whether stable or changing, through family commitments and how we structure our schedules, the type of work we choose to support, and our desired lifestyle. And of course, well, how we spend our time and money. Wow. How we spend our money. Boy, that really says a lot. Those values should be reviewed often. Also, with this show, there's an article that goes with this, and I give you some valuable links to help you get some of the extra resources available for you. Our values should answer these daily questions: How will I work? What will I protect? And what will I no longer sacrifice? It's just really simple questions. And especially at mid career, half time of life, this time of life comes fairly quickly. And many people find themselves that they need to keep working. Well, what do you really want to work, and how are you going to structure that in your life? I mean, do you want to work full time? Do you want to create a business? It is not easy to be an entrepreneur today at all, but it's extremely rewarding. But it takes work. It takes work, but so make sure you like it. That's really, really important. Make sure you like it. Core values are not aspirational traits. They're practice commitments that are thought out and intentional. Whether or not you state them, they are there, demonstrated by our actions. For example, well, we can create margin in our schedule instead of constant availability. Very important. I put together my calendar, and certain times I'm available for online work, and certain other times I'm not because I'm going to be writing or developing something else. And we choose integrity over speed of execution. Very important. I've talked about this as well, how important it is to really spend time on planning. And then we pursue healthy relationships over relentless growth and misplaced priorities. Wow, even more than ever at this point, choose the relationships that are with your close circle, those people that will build into your life and encourage you. And the others, you don't need to be that close with them. I can smile and go on and not have to be close to certain people that are in at least my sphere of influence. When values are clear, decisions become simpler. And as a result, the feeling of that overwhelmed feeling, it decreases. You don't need to debate every single choice out there. And you can ask yourself, well, does this align with what matters most, especially at this time of life? I was asked recently a question if I really missed touring, music touring. In fact, I do flyouts for different things, but uh, you know, I, I expanded my business in different areas, and many people, if they're, it looks so glamorous, but I know what goes on in the backstage. I know bringing equipment, setting up equipment, schlepping, whether you're, on a tour or whether you're doing a local gig, it's a lot of work. And I've decided different parts of that, still doing some performing and entertaining, but I've limited it in ways that really fits this time of my life. And by making those decisions, it's where this rigidity, it begins to soften because I'm no longer just reacting to pressure of things around me or what I feel like people feel like I'm supposed to do. It's because I'm responding really from my values at this point and from principle. So, and what is a schedule that serves our life? I mean, this is important because it could be the other way around. I mean, are we are we just spinning our wheels, serving some sort of schedule? One of the most practical and overlooked ways to live focus without being rigid is through intentional scheduling. And many people they schedule tasks, but there are very few that really schedule values. And I just want to emphasize that again. And it's an area I'm constantly aware of in my life since I'm so project driven, extremely project driven. You can look on my wall with all the albums I've done, the musicals I've written, the books I've written, just a lot of projects. I really enjoy putting out projects that help people in their lives. And so planning ahead with intentionality really helps me balance this in many ways because it can get out of hand. I'm always thinking of the next project. An aligned schedule, it reflects priorities and it protects our energy and it allows for rest without guilt. Now, here's another little nugget. When I've put in hard work and find myself exhausted, or I've been up at night thinking about something, like for a couple hours, thinking, oh, that's how I could have done that. And I'm exhausted. Well, I can be guilt free taking a cat nap if I've gotten what I want to be doing done. And taking even an unexpected break, it doesn't mean abandoning our structure, but it does mean designing it a little differently and giving ourselves freedom to do that. Because we have fruit trees on our property, which I love. If you've ever followed me on social media, you'll see some pictures. And I really do love where we are because we can have fruit trees and there's plenty of places, things to trim. But we're very, very serious about rat control. So we do get them. So one day, our little dog, Amelia, she chased a rat into the pool. Well, I was shocked to discover that rats can swim. I never knew that. And this one was paddling hard for his life, looking for an edge to escape. Well, he never found it, thanks to a pool net and a trash bin. Well, in many ways, it is kind of a funny story, but it perfectly captures how many of us feel like when we're treading water and hoping to reach solid ground to escape the pressure that we put under many times that we put under ourselves. So here's a simple shift for our mindset. At the beginning of our week, instead of asking, what do I need to get done this week? Well, we can ask, well, what kind of week do I want to experience? Wow, that's a change. You can still fit in most things, but you can schedule them around what you want to feel and do. And so you can schedule focus your schedule around those blocks of time instead of constant availability. And that type of availability, if you're constantly available, it can feel like you're treading water, looking for an edge to get out. It can also create white space for thinking, walking, and reflecting. A good book to read on this is Cal Newport's Deep Work, and it talks more about the work, but really turning off a lot of the noise around us. And it also supports rhythms that support creativity and health instead of stress and panic. And this takes intentionality. You need to schedule that creative time. It doesn't just always just happen. And sure, there are times when you're more creative than others. I can attest to that. But you also need to schedule it because there's many times I've had to write and it's not some sort of inspiration. It's been some work. So when your schedule reflects your values, your rest becomes part of the system, not a failure of discipline. Guilt around rest is one of the most persistent struggles for capable, purpose-driven people, especially those with type A tendencies or highly compulsive patterns that can heighten anxiety. And I can totally identify with this. The underlying belief, it sounds like this. Well, if I stop, everything will fall apart. Well, that belief is not humility. It's a systems problem. When everything depends on your constant presence, the issue isn't your commitment, it's your structure. And this is where good systems matter. And I've talked about this quite a bit. So here are some systems that keep things moving so you don't have to keep moving. Systems are not all about control, they're about continuity, and they're not boring. They can actually be kind of fun. Healthy systems, they carry momentum when you step away. Wow, is that a great feeling or what? It is so freeing for those of us who are in these travel years. Now, I'm traveling for fun many times now, not just, I'm going on bike ride trips and some of these others, and not just for work trips. These are the travel years for us. We've watched our parents like wait too long in many respects. So these are the travel years we're taking advantage of. And so I've worked so hard to structure my systems to be able to easily keep momentum going while traveling, even for weeks, without a blip. And it's a joy to share those systems with others. And several I've shared in the Power of After book, and I help people individually with some coaching as well, select people with coaching or actually more consulting. Healthy systems, they reduce decision fatigue and overwhelm. Takes away all of that, all that pressure of those decisions. And solid and simple systems, they free your mind for higher level thinking. And a healthy system, it can include just a weekly rhythm or schedule for communication or content, automation. I use this quite a bit for routine tasks, which can also be given to a virtual assistant. They can implement some of that automation. It's very easy to do that when you have a good system and clear boundaries around availability and content and processes that's easily accessible without you. I mean, we have some of these great tools like your Google Drive where you can have documents available and you can share all of this. There's so many programs out there now worldwide. The goal is not to remove yourself from meaningful work, but the goal is to remove yourself from everything that doesn't require you to always be present. And when systems are in place, those breaks that you take, they're no longer just disruptions. They're built into the design. And you can rest, travel, reflect, or just breathe without anxiety because you've created something really sustainable. And you stop proving your hard work and you start stewarding. Now, what does this mean? I went back to the biblical passage of what a steward is. And so in the Bible, a steward is someone entrusted with managing what belongs to another. And the Greek word most often used in the New Testament, let's see if I can pronounce this, is oikonomos, meaning a household manager or administrator, one responsible for overseeing property, resources, or responsibilities on behalf of the owner. So for us, what does this mean for us as stewards? Well, we manage what we've been given personally and professionally. I've always felt responsible for that. I feel like, I've been given some gifts and tools and I've developed them. And all of those things that we've usually been given, they include, now at this point, they include our developed skills, experience, and resources. So to be stewards over those. Stewardship, it's a hallmark of the power of after season. It's not a season of doing less because you can't do more. It's a season of doing what matters on purpose with the incredible bank of skills and resources you've accumulated. And that's totally why I started this business that I'm in with those at mid-career, time of life. I've seen so many just sitting on those skills, sitting on their experience, sitting on their resources, really not knowing what to do next. They're frozen. So how do we apply this? Boy, there was a lot today. Again, make sure you get the article. If you're feeling stretched, tired, or quietly resistant to the pace that you've been keeping, consider this question. Where have I confused rigidity with commitment or a strong work ethic? And here's another question. What would it look like to trust clear directions more than control? So many of us, we just want to hang on to control. We're afraid to give it up. Oh, if you give up control, you're going to give up part of your life. Get a good system, good direction, a good contract into place. Let it drive that and take the pressure off. This is why there are good contracts out there as well. We have a son who is an attorney with a particular area of emphasis. Contracts are important, and they're written up by different people in our lives. They can be written up by a There's so many types of contracts. Write your own contract for your life so you have a clear direction. I tend to slip into this backseat driver mode even when I'm sitting in the front seat. Ask my husband about that one. So sometimes we just need to relax and trust that the directions or on the contract, those directions are handled, and let the journey unfold. You don't need a total overhaul. You need alignment. So again, as I said, if a car is out of alignment, you can feel it pull to one side or another. So my desire for you is to have that clarity of purpose, grounded core values, and a mindset that allows rest, and systems that support continuity. And that combination, it creates a life that moves forward even when you pause. And the goal is not a perfectly optimized life, but the goal is a well-oriented life. And this includes clarity of purpose, grounded core values, a mindset that allows rest, and systems that support continuity. And once you know why you're doing what you're doing, your work will start supporting your life, and it won't just consume it. And also, it will be a life where you can enjoy the moment and trust the directions. And in other words, it's focused, not rigid. And that is the power of after. Thank you so much for joining me today. What a great message. This was a great message for me as well. I am goal-oriented and just very driven, that type A. But for me, I take time off as well, give myself permission. And it's a good message for all of us to be focused and to stay on track. And even though we have interruptions, so make sure you connect with me. I'd love to connect with you, and to make sure that you can message me anytime. I'd love to do that. Make sure you connect with me on social media. And I look forward to being with you again next time. Get the articles that come with this, and get our weekly updates as well. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I love bringing you insights to help you maximize your skills, resources, and experience at mid-career and beyond, so that you can make your next chapter your most impactful and purposeful yet. I'm Deborah Johnson, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on the Power of After show.